and welcome to the Change Life Destiny podcast series. Are you frustrated with the challenges of navigating our healthcare system? We understand, and that's why we're committed to sharing insights into the latest advancements and approaches that are reshaping healthcare. Join us as we explore the stories of practitioners and innovators who are leading the way toward a healthier future. Let's dive in and learn together. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Changing Life and Destiny podcast series. I'm your host, Stephanie Hingstenberg, and today we are graced with the founder. We are talking to Al Pirnia, who is the visionary behind this entire movement and the man who is so inspiring to me every single day that he gets up and has the energy and the drive to do the work that needs to be done in this movement. Al, thank you for being with us today.
Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for that gracious introduction. You're so wonderful yourself.
Well, thank you. I wanted to start by asking you a little bit about your story because there has to be a pretty significant story in order for you to put in the work that you're putting in right now for this movement. So tell us how you got to this space in your health journey.
Well, it started many years ago. I had some health issues, and traditional medicine was not able to address it in any way to give me any satisfaction. And by chance, I had been recruited to become the chief operating officer of a company that was in the natural health space. They had grown very rapidly and they couldn't manage the operations. And so I came in to help them more on an operational level. And as I started getting introduced to this industry, and I started doing some things for myself and realized that I'm getting a lot more success with my health issues than our traditional approach, I started thinking that why isn't everybody looking more into this alternative space? It was just when the internet was bubbling up, and I thought, well, maybe with the internet, we can get physicians to become more integrative. And after I left that company, I decided to do something about this. I'm kind of a Mr. Fix It. So I thought, well, we can fix this with the internet and physicians becoming more integrative. And I started a company to do that. But like always, there's a lot more to it than just having one simple solution. Nobody was really ready at the time. The internet wasn't ready. The practitioners weren't ready. Society wasn't ready. Even the technologies weren't there. But it took me a while to start understanding what it takes to do something to change our healthcare system. And I think we're there now.
I can't agree more. I think that one thing that I know about you is that you are well ahead of the curve, especially with your vision and your mission. You're just well ahead of where, and people are trying to run to catch up to you. So it is. So what, after this moment of understanding that there's something that has to be done, was there one particular aha moment, or did it just come to you? And then what did you do about it? What was the next step?
Well, the first thing I realized is that our disease care system is not sustainable. As a country, as individuals, as families, we start off with one drug, it creates all these side effects, then we go on to second and third drugs. And by the time we're in our 60s and 70s, we could be taking 10, even 20 drugs.
Mm.
So there's a cost issue there, not just for the individual, but for society at large and for the government. And then there is a function issue of people just functioning and enjoying life. So it just didn't make sense to me. And as I started on this journey, and I raised a lot of money from venture capital and investors to start a company called Natural Health Link. And again, we were way too early. Nobody was ready for it, but it gave me a lot of resources and connections to understanding what it is that we have to do. And the first thing I realized is if we want to address some of the core underlying inducers and promoters of disease, we have to, as a society, start addressing our food habits.
Mm.
I mean, unfortunately, the food people are eating, the food that's being advertised, the cheap food and the fast food and all the very accessible foods is killing everybody.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really, it's not supporting health, it's supporting disease.
Right.
And so the first step I took was, let's create a program that can help people make better food choices, but in the process, be able to take control of blood sugar and body composition, which are the two main drivers of disease in this country.
Mm,
And what's beautiful with this program is called Transformation 360. We've licensed thousands of clinics in how to implement it, and it works like clockwork. It's
mm,
not a question of, oh, you have this blood type or you have this or you have that. That's not going to work. As long as you're human, it's going to work. And it gives people not only fantastic success in um, addressing their weight issues by targeting the abdominal fat, not losing muscle mass, most importantly, learning food so it becomes a lifestyle change, but every marker starts normalizing.
mm,
And we brought into the picture this concept called WICO, which allows us to look at 15 key functions of the body based on symptoms. And as they go through this mild elimination ketogenic diet, we can do WICO a second time and look at dramatic change in the symptom profile. But what remains, now we're getting to the root cause. So we started this program called Transformation 360, had great success getting clinicians to start working with it, putting on patients, having patients have not only amazing success with their health and weight and blood sugar goals, but most importantly, learning how to maintain that success over time. So
mm.
that's how I kind of got started with our first step to address the healthcare crisis the country is facing.
So then what was next? What were you seeing after having the success with Transformations 360? What did you see along the way? What grew with your vision as it kept growing?
Well, the challenge we had with the Transformation 360 program was that we were dependent on the clinics for the marketing
Mm,
and the patient sign up. And the reality of life is that you had three types of people. You have people who do nothing, you have people who dabble, and you have people who really make things happen.
right.
And that was true with our practitioners. So the ones who probably make things happen were probably 20% of those who we contacted.
Mm,
And the remainder would either do nothing or dabble and then move on.
mm,
So we wanted to find a way to engage society without being dependent on the practitioner.
mm.
And that's where we started looking at these technologies. As,
Okay.
as we, over the past 20 years, there have been so many incredible technologies that clinicians need to become aware of that can make a huge difference in people's lives.
Right.
One of those technologies is the red light system. Now, today, everywhere you look, there's a red light technology.
Right.
When we started looking at red lights, it was hardly known, and many people didn't know there was such a technology that could do anything. But we found that one of the benefits of red light was to be able to experience immediate inch loss, literally with one session.
Right.
So we thought this is a great way for us to drive people into a clinic and not be dependent on the clinic to try and promote our program. And that's what we did. And it's been very successful. We have people come in for a discounted coupon. They try it, they see it works, a percentage of them sign up. After the second session, they start thinking, how am I going to maintain this?
Right.
And the practitioner pulls out what we call their WICO score, which evaluated these 15 functions based on their symptoms, and says there's only three things you got to do if you want to succeed over time. Because that's the question everybody asks after a couple of sessions. How am I going to maintain this? I don't want to do this red light for the rest of my life.
Right.
So they say, look, there's three issues. You got to get your food right, you got to get your function right, and you want to get to the root cause of your symptoms. And
Right.
here's a program called Transformation 360 that makes all those three possible.
Wow.
So probably 80% of people would say, hey, that makes sense. I want to do that program.
Mm,
So it became a way for us to use technology to drive people into a clinic, get them excited about having success, and then starting to think, what else can I do? Because the, the, the success to business, in my opinion, is give people what they want and then start telling them what they need. A
Mm,
lot of times it's the other way around. We're trying to tell people what they need, and it's not really what they want, and therefore nobody takes action.
right.
In this approach, we had great success, and that's how we started the next phase of our
Okay.
business.
So what was the next phase?
The next phase was to start introducing technology to practitioners.
Okay. So like
Because
the red light.
the red light. So what we did, we first started with the red light, and then we realized what's the next technology that makes sense with
Mm,
this whole program. And if you look at the body, we have 70,000 miles of microcapillary circulation. All the health activities is taking place in those microcapillary
mm,
circulation. That's where everything is happening. All the toxins are being removed, all the nutrients are being delivered, all the immune systems are, the cells are there. So having a technology that can help increase microcapillary circulation becomes a really important additional value to offer patients.
sure.
So we started looking at these other technologies. We introduced what we call the circulation 360 that worked with the red 360. That was a red light that worked with the transformation 360. And then we realized, okay, now we've got all this circulation taking place. We've got all this fat loss taking place. What if the body can't detox? And many
Mm,
times the reason why you can't detox is because you've got a clogged lymphatic system. Your lymphs are there to detox the body, but there is no pump like your heart
right.
making it possible for the lymphs to detox. They get
Right.
clogged up. And the traditional approach to getting your lymphs unclogged is complex, is time consuming. There's really no simple way to do it. Well, we came across a technology that uses pressure, compression, and heat and makes this possible in a way that people feel so relaxed, so fantastic. They just want to keep coming back to do that, separate from the whole lymph issue. So these are some of the technology we started adding, what we call the 360 process now. So it started with the transformation 360. We added the red 360. We added the lymph 360. We've now got the circulation 360 and the relief 360. And this became the 360 process that literally creates a new person in 10 or less weeks.
Al, it just occurred to me that it sounds like you were biostacking or biohack stacking, whatever that term is, way before it got sexy, right? Way before the folks that are out there that can afford to buy these things and put them into their homes. You were doing that for practitioners a whole lot sooner. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was necessary because we were trying to make the practitioners successful not only with their patients, but also with their practice. That's really our goal in life,
Right. Right.
is to help functional medicine practitioners have greater success with their patients, greater success with their practice. Because if they don't survive financially, then we're dead in the water. I mean,
Right.
we're not going to accomplish anything.
Right.
So,
We don't have
as
the
much as we want them to have great success with their patients, they also have to have success with their practice.
yes.
And some of these tools on how to drive patients into the clinic is for that purpose. Some of these technologies is to make sure they have greater success so they get more referrals into
Right.
their practice.
Right. So where were you finding these technologies?
Hi, everyone. Roxy here with the Change Life Destiny podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you're loving this episode. Just a quick note to let you know that if you enjoy the types of speakers and the content and the technologies that we're showcasing on this podcast, you will enjoy our Changing Life and Destiny conference, which happens annually in Dallas in April. And we'd love to have you there with us. Learn more at changelifedestiny.com and use the code podcast at checkout to get a very special discount. We hope to see you there on this movement to move our healthcare system to a preventative, proactive model. Now back to the episode.
Because you're the type of person that goes out and looks for things. So where were you finding technologies like this to bring into the practices?
Yeah, that's a great question because one of the biggest challenges for practitioners today is that they may go to one or probably two maximum conferences a year. And the problem with these conferences is that one is that a lot of times they're going there for classes,
Mm,
and a lot of these technologies are in the exhibit hall.
mm,
And they're given an hour here, an hour there to go into the exhibit hall, but they're constantly rushing in and rushing out.
Mm.
and they don't get a good opportunity to learn about everything that's there. And many times it's the same companies who go to these conferences because it's easy for the conference people to just bring the same people in
Sure.
and not have to worry about filling up the exhibit hall.
Right.
So the challenge for the technology being introduced to practitioners is, one, they don't go to a lot of conferences. Two, there aren't a lot of technologies there. So one of the things that we do is we try to go to all the conferences that are out there and then cherry pick the best ones that we can bring back and introduce to practitioners that we think can make sense for them and their patients.
So at what point did you say, okay, I have all of these solutions for practitioners, but I really need to create a conference?
Well, because of exactly what I told you. I go to these conferences and I see how frustrated the exhibitors are. They're in that exhibit hall waiting for these docs to come in. And they rush in, and now they want to go to the next booth because they think they're going to miss out on something.
Right.
And they're rushing here, rushing there. And many times there are duplicates. And just to get a sense of what's there, it's very difficult. So I saw a big problem with that model. And the second thing I realized is that one of the biggest challenges these exhibitors and these practitioners have is that even after somebody goes to a conference and they meet the practitioner and they get the practitioner excited and they say, okay, let's do this, let's take this back into my clinic, they go back into that clinic and now they're lost in the shuffle of running a practice.
Mhm.
They don't have time to market. Their staff are overworked, underpaid. The last thing they want to do is introduce something new, and that technology has just sits somewhere.
Mm.
So what we wanted to do was try and fix some of these broken challenges that exist in this market. And we first thought, let's create this conference. Let's make the conference where we showcase only 100 technologies. We don't have duplicates. And we make it where there is a day for presentation and classes and a day for the exhibit hall. So we're not constantly pulling people in and out of the exhibit hall.
Right.
And this has worked out really well. Everybody that comes to our conference loves the format, especially the exhibitors. And it's given the practitioner the opportunity to truly learn about 100 technologies over 3 days that they would probably have to go to 5 or 6 or even more conferences to see all these in one place
Right.
and have the time to really evaluate. The workshops and the classes are just about these technologies. The exhibit hall is just those technologies. So between what they learn and what they talk to the exhibitors on the days that they're on the floor, they can now make a decision as to which ones they want to take back into their practice.
Right. So I remember that, was it 2017, 2018 when you did your first conference in California? And that was a smaller venue, smaller size of conference because you wanted to try it out a little bit from what I recall. And now it has grown into this beautiful thing that keeps evolving every single year, that continues to evolve and solve the issue in a better way every single year. So tell me, if you can recall from all of those years, because now we're on our sixth annual conference, Changing Life and Destiny conference, which is incredible to me. And what would you say if you could pinpoint a favorite moment from that conference that maybe sums up this thought that you had, this problem that you wanted to solve? What would that be?
Well, I don't know if there's one specific moment. There are so many moments that gives me satisfaction in our practitioners and our exhibitors coming up and saying, this was fantastic. This was the best. This was amazing. The feedback we get from our attendees, whether they're exhibitors or practitioners, is so positive. You can see it in the videos on the website. We
Mhm.
have unlimited number of testimonials of people who've been to our conference who have just sent unsolicited emails and text messages saying this was incredible, this was amazing. So that's really what keeps me going. And it's the excitement that we've got something that seems to be working.
Yeah.
And most importantly, getting our practitioners introduced to all these technologies that can make a huge difference in the lives of their patients, because that's really what we're all about. At the end of the day, our mission as a company is to get our healthcare system to become proactive. We
Mm,
have a reactive healthcare system. We're waiting until we're diseased and then have somebody manage us for the rest of our lives.
right.
And that system is not sustainable. I mean, if you look at the cost of healthcare for companies, what it was 20 years ago and what it is today, it's almost the number one expense.
Right.
This is, and then you start looking at the percentage of money the government's spending on healthcare. It's unbelievable how it's grown over the past 20 years. So this is not a sustainable model because we have a reactive system. We're waiting until disease, having us manage for the rest of our life, instead of trying to get society to become proactive, look at imbalances before their disease conditions, and try and address those in this proactive and preventative and natural way.
Right. I love that. I also really enjoy that changing life and destiny is not only for practitioners. That yes, indeed, we want to focus on those practitioners and solve their problems, but health consumers that are really excited about these technologies and products and services and networking opportunities, they come to our conference too. So it is in my mind, that is a difference. Is that something that you've seen grow and is a major difference in between our conferences and others?
Yeah, I mean, what we try to do is have a mixture of three groups at our conference. There are the practitioners who are doing functional medicine. There are professionals that help collaborate with these functional medicine doctors. A lot of functional medicine doctors are referring to a biological dentist, a thermography center, a Pilates, a yoga center. There's up to 25 categories of health and wellness professionals that functional medicine doctors refer to,
Hmm.
and really important from the standpoint of um, either not getting ill health or maintaining wellness after you've been through some challenges. So we've got the practitioners, we've got the professionals, and then we have what we call the biohackers, those people who are really trying to become proactive with their health. They realize this model is not suited for them. And those are some of the other people that come to our conference. This year in particular, we probably will get a lot of corporate wellness directors also coming, because we have some incredible opportunities with corporate wellness where we can help these companies that are self-funded and shared funded, and really any company that cares about their employees, to empower them to become proactive. I'll give you an example. The average person that becomes a diabetic probably costs the company, the government, somebody, or themselves over $500,000
Oh,
in expense.
goodness.
Now, way before you become a diabetic, you're a pre diabetic.
Right.
And it is so easy to find out if you're pre diabetic. But we're ignoring all those pre diabetics
Hmm.
until they become a diabetic. And once you're a diabetic, it's a much, much greater challenge to reverse that. And it becomes almost impossible once you get to that later stage.
Yeah.
So imagine every company, almost half the employees are either obese, pre diabetic, or diabetic, maybe even more than half the population. And these are all people who are ticking time bombs that can cost that company hundreds of thousands of dollars in healthcare costs. And it is so simple to go in and try and pinpoint who are the candidates that really need help and give them the tools to do that. So, part of our goal going forward is to engage with companies and get them to become interested to help their employees. And there are some amazing tax write-offs now that incentivizes companies to help their employees, where they're literally being paid to help their employees become proactive with their health. So at the conference, this fourth group will also be a community that we're going to reach out to, so that we have the practitioners, the professionals, the biohackers, and some of these corporate wellness directors.
Boy, I tell you, it's 360 is the right number to use when it comes to your offerings, because it is not just, you are not a one trick pony, sir. You have so much going on, and the reach in between your ideas and your products and your protocols and your services is quite wide. So that's really, really exciting. What is your most exciting thing about this year, particularly from the past years? What are you most excited about for this year?
Well, I think what's really exciting is the caliber of all the technologies we're showcasing. They're amazing. Some of the tools we've created to help practitioners educate their patients. That's one of the biggest challenges both exhibitors have and practitioners have, is how do I get to the end user without having to spend hours with every patient that walks in and says, look at this, look at that, and answer their questions.
Mm-hmm.
And having some amazing celebrity practitioners become part of our conference, become part of our movement, who, on their own are doing some amazing things and can help a lot of practitioners. This year in particular, we have the Maha group that are going to be there. So that's very exciting because they're also having huge impact on society, realizing, hey, there is an alternative approach to healthcare that you want to look at before you jump into taking medication. I mean, there is a place for medication. There's a place for our traditional approach to healthcare. I don't want anybody to think we're downplaying that, but there's a balance between what you want to do with chronic illness compared to something like a heart attack that you need to have immediate response to.
Right, right. There's a place for both. There
Yeah.
is a world in where we can all work together, and I think that that's, part of the thing that excites me is that, not a lot of people understand what this movement is, or how it can impact them personally. So the education portion of that is very important. So, okay, so you're talking about how you're working and you're seeing these issues as they come up and you're finding solutions as they come up. Let's manifest, let's dream a little bit about 5 years from now. So, what is your dream for healthcare and the healthcare system? Let's just say 5, 10 years from now.
Well, I think in a few years' time, whether it's 5 years, 3 years, I don't know, but in a few years' time, my dream is to have every household be given a tour on the metaverse of what they should be thinking about and how they should be thinking about their health journey.
Mm,
We live in a very toxic world, from the mold to the water to the air to the food. It is all harming us.
yeah.
And the biggest challenge right now is the lack of education people have about their body and what they're doing to their body.
Hmm.
So, my dream is to be able to give people a tour of how they should be experiencing life, understanding some of the issues they need to be addressing, and partnering them up with clinicians and professionals that can help them on that journey. Right now, the way our healthcare system works is that even with this alternative approach, it's you have a condition and now you want to address that condition.
Hmm.
And many times it's going to be too late to address it at the root cause or to address it in a financially viable manner. So we need to understand as a society what are some of the action steps we're taking on a day to day basis that is going to get us into trouble.
Mm,
And I think that is what I'm hoping to create on the metaverse so that we can educate people on a lifestyle and a way to pinpoint some of the issues that is developing and how they can address those early on so that they don't have to be saddled with huge expenses and huge dysfunctions that can have a terrible effect on their family and their lives and their finances.
it's amazing. Amazing. I think that I have grown to know you very well over the last few years. And what I see in you every year is this drive to get up every single morning. I don't know where you get it from, but every single morning you get up and you have a drive to help people live better lives. And there are so many facets. You guys that are listening have no idea how many facets there are to this diamond that is Al Pernia's brain and his inspiration. And I believe that I know where he gets it from. It has to be divine, and it has to be something that is really purpose driven for you in this later part of your life, which is inspiring to so many people. So talk about how you feel every day when you get up. What is it that does keep you going?
Well, I truly believe that we all have a purpose in life. And it's funny because I got my undergraduate in biochemistry and chemical engineering.
Wow.
And then I got my MBA and I went into business. And it was just by chance that I got redirected into this industry that I realized I really love. And then I started to have this passion to do something about healthcare because I just saw the hurt and the
Mm,
financial challenges people had because of things that they had no control over.
right.
And so I believe that we all have a purpose in life. And, this is the latter part of my life is to try and do something about our healthcare system. We have this concept called love your health. In fact, this hat, that's
Yes.
what it says, love your
I
health.
love your health.
And we have a video that everybody should see. It's just 1 minute that explains the concept behind love your health. On this video, in 1 minute, we explain why you are here on this planet. Everybody has a purpose, and we explain why you're here. You can figure it out yourself. There's 3 events that determines it. And then we say, look, to get to your destiny, and our conference is Changing Life and Destiny. So there's a purpose in that name. We say to get to your destiny and why you're here on this planet, you got to make health your priority.
Mm,
And it's not going to be through drugs and medication. And like I said, there's a place for drugs and medication. I've
sure.
personally experienced it and I value it.
Sure.
But you need to be healthy. You need to have energy. You need to be alive to get to where you are purposefully here for. And you have to understand that if you don't have health, you're not going to get there. And to have health every day, it's a process. It's a wellness journey that never stops. That's what we say.
Yeah.
Wellness is a journey that never stops, and you have to work at it. So part of the objective is to educate society that this is something they need to focus on, and they should do it in partnership with practitioners that have the tools to help them in that journey.
I love that. I love that so much. And it does all boil down to love. It really, really does. And I know from being at other conferences too, personally, that is one of the biggest differences in our conference at Changing Life and Destiny than others is the amount of love and heart and vision and mission driven work that we're doing. This is soul work that we're doing. And it is all thanks to this lovely brain of yours that keeps coming up with new ideas and new ways to educate people. So thank you for
Thank
all of the
you.
work that you've done. Thank you
Thank you
for
for all the
being here
support
today.
you give us.
Of course, wouldn't have it any other way. But I think that it would be really nice for us to put that video in the show notes of this podcast so that people could see it and understand really the foundation of this beautiful home that we're building together to change lives and change people's destinies. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for all of what you do, Stephanie. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Change Life Destiny Show. We hope you found today's conversation enlightening and empowering. Be sure to join us each week for more thought-provoking discussions and inspiring stories. Don't miss out on staying up to date with the latest in healthcare innovation. Subscribe to our podcast and visit us at changelifedestiny.com to explore more about the practitioners, technologies, and how you can take control of your health journey.